Yo, 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 what's going on? It's the NRW, where nerds rule the world. It's your boy, Cool Ya P, aka Patrick Michael Strange, the Babinka boy, the Adobro, leader of the Holla Holla homies in the center, gang of the nerds of color and Show Pal Show. Today, I got another amazing interview for y'all, man. I've heard about this guy at all the conventions, all the shows. We got a lot of mutuals, man. They're like, yo, have you heard of my man TJ Sterling, bro? He's got this dope project. He's got a lot of his artwork is fantastic. The stories are amazing. He's got this book called Alchemist. He also has this new project called Joystick Angels. Man, you got to check this out. It's just a lot of love. You know what I'm saying? When cats come at you with like and got the same love, and it's not for everybody. You know what I'm saying? You got to deserve that love. And this cat gets all the love. So I'm like, man, I got to meet this cat. I got to talk to this cat. We've ran into each other a couple times here and there, but we really haven't had a chance to speak. So I'm super excited to talk to this brother, man. He's been putting it down and he's got the love. So let me show you what current project he has right now that I need you to support, y'all. It's already reached the campaign, but we want to get those stretch goals. Those stretch goals, you know, where we get a little bit bonus content, a little bit more extra. You know how we love extra. So Joystick Angels is out. By the time this is out, there's only a couple days left. So you're going to want to hop on so that we can get it before everybody. And then it's out to the public. So hop onto this. It's on Kickstarter, Joystick Angels. I'm going to throw it to the trailer. And then when we come back, we'll be with my man, TJ Sterling. Here we go. Joystick Angels.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's TJ Sterling, president and lead artist of RAE Comics.
And I'm Spencer Sterling, lead producer and artist at Mid Music. And we're raising funds for our fantastic new comic series, Joystick Angels.
Joystick Angels is a YA sci-fi space opera comic series centered on 5 teenage space pilots called the Angels. And they're seeking glory and retribution against the evil Eukarya, an alien parasite empire that actually has destroyed Earth and their families. If you're a fan of shoot-'em-up space fighter video games like Gradius 3, Darius Twin, and Star Fox, you're gonna love this series.
We are looking to raise $8,000 for printing costs and production of Joystick Angels issue 1 and issue 2.
So what we're delivering is 2 full comics. That's 54 pages of content written by me and my brother Spencer.
Plus an original soundtrack composed by me.
And other really cool extras like access to our previous projects, including my last Kickstarter, Alchemist. Growing up, my brother and I were big comic collectors and avid gamers. Like most kids in the 90s, we spent a lot of our time in comic shops and arcades. But as time went on, our paths diverged a little bit creatively. I stayed in the comic book world and eventually created my own publishing imprint, RAE Comics.
And I decided to tell compelling stories through music as a producer and artist. We decided to make a comic series that blended both of our artistic disciplines into one cohesive project.
Joystick Angels was born. These pilots, Fox, Deuce, Tank, Dragonetti, and Legs, live on a satellite space vessel called the Libor Space Station, the last surviving human colony in the universe.
But before the Angels can fulfill their mission to save the universe, they must first compete against the entire space fleet in the Quantum Elite Space Tournament for the title of Supreme Squadron.
A competition that takes place once every decade to determine who will lead the charge against the evil Eukarya. Just so we're clear, production of the Joystick Angels project has already begun. Issue 1 is completely done, and issue 2 is almost finished as well. What we need your help with is getting all 54 pages published as soon as possible. We are so proud of the series and its amazing creators. We also have Nat Shun-Ledesma on interior art, Laura Servino on colors, Deron Bennett of Anworld Design on lettering, and Dr. Shamika Mitchell as our lead editor. Thank you for considering supporting Joystick Angels. If you can't back us financially, maybe you could share this on your social media with your friends, family, and fellow comic lovers, and tell them about this exciting new project we got coming out.
Thanks again for your time and support.
Boom. There you go. My man, TJ Sterling, Joystick Angels. It's on Kickstarter right now. We need your support. Let's give him some lumber. Air horns. TJ Sterling, RAE Comics. What's good?
Yo, what's up, man? What's going on? How you doing?
Hey, man, a pleasure, bro. Like I said, you got love out here in these streets. So, I appreciate
trying,
you,
man. You know what I'm saying?
and
We
coming
all
through.
about the people at RAE Comics. That's what it is, man. We about the people.
My man, yo, again, a pleasure, bro. Excited to talk to you. Heard all about you, man. Let's get into this project, and we just showed the trailer. Let's give a little bit of info on what it's about and how it came to be.
Absolutely, I'd love to, man. So everybody who's watching, honestly, I'm honored to be here. My name is TJ Sterling. I'm the president and lead artist of RAE Comics, and what you just saw was the trailer for Joystick Angels, our YA space opera comic book series centered around 5 young space pilots who are tasked with saving the universe against an evil alien empire. Really fun book if you like 80s and 90s arcade video games, shoot 'em up style games like Star Fox and Gradius. You're going to love this series. It's really a lot of fun. We made it YA, but it is for all ages. And it's a really cool story, man. Like, I mean, I grew up like a huge like Star Wars, Star Trek fan. And my biggest concern with those titles back then or those properties is that there was never enough people of color in space, especially young Black children or Latinos, period. There was really no people of color in space, maybe 1 or 2, but that was it. And I kind of wanted to change that a little bit with the comics with this particular comic series and make it normal for POC to be regular in this futuristic landscape.
I love it. Yo, talking everything that I want to hear, man, because that's what I'm all about, bro. So yeah, when I peeped the Kickstarter campaign, I had to throw down, I had to support it. So I'm already locked in. I love the Star Fox feel and Gradius. I'm an old head too. I don't know how old you are, TJ. But that melanin keeps us young. But yeah, I remember playing them joints in the arcade and on the Super Nintendo and just going to town and having fun. So like you hit the nail on the head and bringing me back to those old vibes and feels, man. I love the look. So I think I saw, is that your brother? It's another Sterling that you're working with on this?
Yes, sir. Yeah. I mean, so this is the thing, man. I mean, me and my brother are comic collectors since like the late 80s, early 90s. That's when we started collecting comics. And we always went to the comic book store together. We always played video games together. And as we got older, you know what I'm saying, our paths diverged just, a little bit differently in terms of the creative and what we wanted to get into. I really like stayed into the art world. You know what I'm saying? I loved comics, drawing, sequential storytelling. And he was really all about telling stories through music and through sound. So again, even though we're both artists, like we're just different types of artists. So we were both just hanging out one night. We were talking about what a cool comic book series would look like if, I guess we were just having a nostalgic moment about video games. I'm like, yo, wouldn't it be cool if we made a comic book that kind of had all that nostalgia wrapped into it in terms of how the characters look, in terms of the costume design, in terms of the story, all of that. And we just came up with the idea for Joystick Angels, these 5 pilots. But we didn't feel like it wouldn't be right without a musical soundtrack of some sort. I think every major, animated movie or, whether it's a DC movie or Marvel movie, they had these amazing original soundtracks. So like, why don't we do our own original soundtrack for this comic book? And then we didn't see anybody in the comic book world that was doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why isn't there more of that? A, but B, how about we just, start a new trend, you know what I'm saying? Start a new, raise the bar a little bit, do something a little different. And that's how that conversation came about.
Hell yeah, dope. I love the family partnership, collaboration, hitting it off. And now that makes sense because I locked in, and I suggest all y'all that's watching this too, because there's different tiers. I got the soundtrack and the copy of the comic, man. So lock that down, man. That's you're gonna want it both. And hear from my man TJ, that's dope. I love that family, love that partnership, collaboration, and the vibe and the energy there. That's dope. Now that makes sense. And yeah, you separate yourself from the others, and that's what you gotta do to kind of, it's a large space of comics, and to separate yourself from the competition, you got to give a little bit different. So that's dope, man. I feel that. So what was the hardest aspects for you? I know you've already been doing this. Was it difficult for your brother to get down and his involvement? What were some of the issues that might have arose during putting this together?
I mean, really, we just had a little bit of a learning curve. You know what I mean? Okay. I write and draw comics. I mean, the Alchemist series, which currently has 5 books right now, currently that people can get on the Kickstarter, as well. I mean, I've been writing and drawing comics for a couple of years now, so I'm relatively proficient at it. You know what I'm saying? I'm always learning and trying to get better, but I'm comfortable in that space. And, my brother has never he's written songs and produced, beats and orchestration and music and things like that, but he's not written a comic book before. And there's a very specific format that you have to stick to. So the first comic book we ever wrote together, Joystick Angels #1, because we've already have issue 2 written. Issue 1 was just like the learning curve. You know what I'm saying? How do we figure out our creative synergy? His voice is in the comic book just as much as mine is. We co-wrote it together simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? I provided a lot of format, a lot of structure, a lot of idea. Okay, this is where we can stop. This is how we want this, like, beginning, middle, end. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's always the crescendo or the climax of the scene, and then like the drop off, like you keeping those things in mind. So it's very much like story beats for music, but it's just with words. So we were kind of just, again, trying to figure out how to make those two disciplines come together seamlessly. And that's what took the longest. But when we got it down, we wrote issue 2 in half the time because we had already figured out our style of working. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely. And the reason I ask that is because with every project, we learn something new. And so I like to kind of find that out, because that'll help the next creator coming up, watching what we're doing, to not make those mistakes. So what would you say is one of the things that you learned from this project, working with your brother, that you would impart to a young creator that's watching this right now?
It's a great question, man. I mean, I would say entertain every idea. And if you do have creative synergy with another individual, collaborate, like have fun. I mean, my mentor, Ryan Benjamin, who's a veteran DC Comics artist for like 20 plus years, he was like, yeah, man, like get yourself in a studio or collaborate with as many talented artists as you can, because it enhances your repertoire and your, what I'm saying, your knowledge of the business and your knowledge of comics. Like, it just enhances it even more. So collaboration's a big thing, man. I mean, usually in comics, I'm already collaborating with someone like an inker or a colorist or a letterer. I'm already working with them. But it's a little different when you're writing a script and building a vision for a world together with somebody. It's much more like we're in trenches together. You know what I'm saying? We're figuring this out together. We're trying to create a vision and like a trajectory for an entire story and cast of characters. So it's a much larger undertaking. So you really have to have that creative synergy with that person for it to work. And, me and my brother have collaborated before on other things as well. My brother, again, he's got over 100 tracks worth of music, and he's got over 15, albums that he's put out over the years. So he's a seasoned in that particular department. He's, interned and worked for Universal Music. So I mean, he's that guy. He knows what he's doing. And, I've done album cover artwork for him over the years, just as an illustrator, and also help with artistic direction. And, he's like, yo, man, I want you to hear this song. Like, I'm saying, let me know what you think. Like, that's kind of how our synergy works. He trusts my judgment. I trust his, and all that other good stuff. So we brought that same energy this time to a comic book project, which is, again, something we've never done before. It's a little bit of a bigger undertaking, but the collaborative aspect of it is just so much fun. And I loved every bit of it.
Hell yeah. Love that. So let's talk a little bit about Joystick Angels. You kind of gave at the beginning a little bit behind it. What is it so much about it that you love, and what are the characters and just some elements of it that you enjoy? And how I'm trying to see, I don't see it up on my notes. How long is this Joystick Angels? Is it going to be an ongoing series like Okemos is, or is it like self-contained?
Yes, sir. It's going to be an ongoing series. Right now, we have 6 issues planned. I like to plan out 6 issue arcs. Just kind of helps my brain wrap my head around how to do comics, consistently. So for example, when people are thinking about, there's like 3 different types of comics out there. So if you find a comic series that's 12 issues, that's a maxi series.
Yeah.
If you find a comic book that's 6 issues, that's kind of like a mini series, or like a semi mini. And then if you do, there's like 3 or 4 issue comic books that are like a super mini arc. You know what I'm saying? Just so you can kind of tell what that is. I've always been a fan of like 6 to 12 issues, because like it's very digestible. You can get into it and really build like a nice IP around that. But yeah, man. So what we wanted to do with Joystick Angels is tell a story that was young adult and also coming of age. So you have these 5 young pilots, and they live on a space station called the Libor space station. It's actually the last human colony in the universe, because Earth has been destroyed by this evil parasitic alien empire called the Eukarya. The Eukarya are basically like a hive-minded virus, come to life, if you will. If you think about a virus, whether it's COVID or bacteria, they've been around for millions of years, and literally, or I don't know how long they've been around, but they've been around since the inception of this planet. Viruses, germs, bacteria, and they always grow, they always evolve, and they always assimilate other entities into themselves. So that's really what the Eukarya are, but it's almost like they're on steroids, because they're physical creatures now. So this horde of these parasitic aliens are traveling throughout the universe, going planet to planet, absorbing resources, absorbing life forms, incorporating them into their fold, and becoming stronger. And what ends up happening is that Earth falls to the Eukarya, and basically the humans retreat into space and create their own space station. And this society that kind of springs forth is a very militaristic rebels type society. So if you think about the Star Wars rebel type of alliance, what I'm saying, how like they were basically trying to beat this, larger entity, which was obviously the Empire. And in this case, what I'm saying, it's an evil alien empire that doesn't think, that just is all about survival, that base level instinct. So they have to do everything they can in order to survive. And they have something every 10 years. It's called the Quantum Elite Space Tournament. And the Quantum Elite Space Tournament is this competition where every single space squadron within all of Libor compete for the title of Supreme Squadron. And Supreme Squadron, it's like the highest honor you can get. And you, whatever the team is, like the Angels, who you see, these 5 groups, they're a space squadron, a team of 5 kids. But there's more teams just like that. And whoever wins this competition basically leads the charge against the Eukarya in order to save the planet. So, all 5 team members basically, have lost their parents to the Eukarya, and to this battle that happened on Earth. They lost their families, so they're all kind of orphans. I think only one of them has a mother, but they don't usually. One of them doesn't have a father, so it's like most of them all have like a chip on their shoulder. They're all trying to figure out their place in life, and they're also trying to raise themselves because they don't necessarily have parents. So if you kind of think about how could these 5 characters exist within this space, saying, how could they become whole? And that's really defeating the enemy. So humankind is united against one goal, and that's stopping this evil alien empire.
Hell yeah, I love that. That develops a bond, a kinship, a brotherhood, sisterhood. That's amazing, man. I love that. And I have to tell you, man, I've seen your artwork. I've loved your artwork, from the Okemos stuff. And then one of my questions was, until I saw the Joystick Angels, was like, can this guy do like vehicles and spaceships? And now from what you're saying, we're going to get a little bit of a space race, right? With all these ships in this tournament. And then when I, went to support the campaign and I looked down, I was like, okay, this brother knows how to do spaceships. All right, I'm in. You had to sell me on the ships first, because if we're going to get like this Star Fox kind of deal, you got to be able to throw down on making the ships and all the environment look dope. And you sold me. So got to give you love on that, bro. How was it? Was that a change for you? Was that different for you? Was that something that were you already doing that in Okemos, like building out like ships and stuff beyond just like figure work? Because there's a lot of dope artists out there, but some artists can't really draw females all that well, or they have certain specialties. But like that when it comes to the other ancillary aspects of comic art, not everybody has it. So was this like a change of pace for you to do just kind of like vehicle focus type artwork in your artwork?
Well, it's a great question, man. And honestly, like, I can only take credit for the look and the design of the characters in terms of the aesthetic and the idea of what Joystick Angels is. And I hired an incredible artist, Nats Ledesma. He's a Filipino artist who's absolutely incredible. And he is a very, very mechanical artist. I mean, and you can see the style is more anime. So we wanted to go further away from the style that people were used to in Okemos. I mean, when the style that I drawn for Okemos is very 90s. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the era I grew up in. Yeah. That was the era that I discovered and loved comics in. So when you see Okemos, you get those vibes, you get those feelings. But we wanted something totally different for Joystick Angels. So more or less, I'm serving as just a creative lead, a writer, and, just facilitating facilitating what my artists need to do, to do what they need to do. So it did take a while to find the right artist, because honestly, just like you said, I was looking for someone who had the ability to draw mechanical objects very, very well. Guns, ships, tech, all that stuff. So we find Nats, and Nats is incredible because he's done a lot of Transformers art in the past. He's done tons of stuff where
I knew I've heard that name before. That it's Transformers.
He's been around, man. Like, he's been around. And I think he was just looking for a home. You know what I'm saying? So it was just kind of perfect timing. We linked, and I said, this is the idea that we want. I gave him lots of reference, lots of great stuff to, kind of build from. And we get this look of Joystick Angels that is really very, very unique and just different. But he's extremely great at that stuff, man. And we wanted to give people an anime cartoonish type of vibe when they were reading Joystick Angels. And one thing I love about anime is that most anime, especially in the 90s, had incredible soundtracks. So it's like, as you're reading this comic book, you're going to be able to get this immersive experience of reading and listening to music specifically created for the comic. So it's powerful, man. I'm actually very excited. I'm excited to read it myself. I mean, like, I can't even say that I've experienced it. I'm right there in the fan seat with y'all. Like, I'm just like, man, I'm a fan of this whole thing. I want to get on it as well,
Hell yeah, I love that, man. And shout out to Ryan Benjamin. I was a big fan of his back in the day. And Nat Ledesma, representing Philippines. What's up, my Filipino people? I love that collaboration. Who are some of the other collaborators? We mentioned your brother. Let's give them some shouts and some love that you have working with you on this.
Our main colorist is Loris Ravina. He's a guy out of Italy who's absolutely incredible. He's done tons of books for a lot of the indie creators here in the independent comic book scene. His style that we developed, that we sat down and we developed a new style of coloring specifically for this book. And I think when people see the pages, that it's vibrant, it's bright, it's fun, it's very inviting, it's really cool. And he did an incredible job. So shout out to Loris. We have Dr. Shamika Mitchell, our editor-in-chief at RAE Comics, is, spearheading the editing and, story assistance initiative on the literary end. She does an incredible job. She edits all of our other books. So shout out and much love to Shamika. Trying to think who else. Our cover artists. Our cover artists are the Zong brothers and Marcus Williams. Senor Mr. Marcus Williams is on one of the covers. So the dope thing too about this campaign is you get two separate covers. You get one from the Zong brothers, which is cover A, and then you get cover B, which is the wraparound cover for Marcus Williams that we just debuted just yesterday. So when people see it, it's like you got lots of great art and great stuff to choose from.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. And shout out to everybody, man. Some friends up in there. I love that. I love to see collaboration and everybody representing, man. I want to ask more, but then at the same time, I don't want to give things away. I want people to enjoy the series and learn and love and as it goes along, because it's going to be an ongoing series, man. So spectacular, man. And there's, I'm gonna throw, actually, I was thinking about mentioning this, but I'm gonna save it to the end. I think it'll be a nice wrap up when we finish this up. So, bro, what I'd like to do, man, your first time coming up on the NRW NOC for one of my interviews, I like to get into the origin story, man. The hero behind the heroes. You know what I'm saying? And and I like to say I like to start it from the seed and to now, because I know, and I will preface that you are still growing. You still got a lot of living to do, but you know what? We want to give you your flowers right now, because it's always good to give you flowers when we still here. Facts. You know what I'm saying? So you're still building, you're still growing, and we're going to celebrate that growth later on when you come back with other projects. But right now, we're going to celebrate right now, and we want to talk how you got to this point from the beginning. And to me, it starts from the seed, the amazing parents and or people that fit those roles in our youth. Let's talk about them, because to me, I think we're the manifestation of their hopes and dreams. As a father, I know my daughter is everything that I hope, and want her to be in, and I'm trying to give this for her. I want to know about them, and if you kind of imbued some of their hopes and dreams in, like, were they creatives as well? Can you tell us about your fam, man?
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I love speaking about my origin story, because I take a lot of pride in, inspiration from it. Honestly, I mean, I would say that I was surrounded by a lot of creative people growing up. I mean, my dad's sister is, as a classically trained painter, and she's incredible, and she's a fine artist in every sense of the word. So she's selling paintings for like $20K, and like, I mean, this is just, it's light work for her, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause that's the space she lives in, going to galleries. And so, I mean, seeing that as a kid was always inspirational, because I just loved art, and it was cool to watch someone I knew be successful at that. You know what I'm saying? So I always thought that was pretty cool. And in terms of like my direct family, like my mother and my father, my mother was the person who realized that me and my brother, specifically me, had like this, very serious interest in art and like, popular culture. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we were watching Looney Tunes and like Super Friends and, Scooby-Doo and all these like weird cartoons that were really popping at the time. I was a huge He-Man and the Masters of the Universe fan. So I love that comic book style action type of, heroes. So my mom, being the brilliant, Black woman that she is, she just was like, okay, well, why don't we take him to a comic book shop? Why don't we see, how he fares in this particular space? You know what I'm saying? Because she just wanted us to read more. Like, how can I get my sons to read more? How can I get them to be more engaged in literary works? Because she understood just how important it was. Because I think, boys, sometimes we learn a little slower. I mean, girls learn so fast, man. Like, they pick up stuff so quickly. I got a sister too, and she's, quick-witted, like. But with boys, I think sometimes it's like, okay, they just want to play outside and be rough. How do we get them to read some books and do some more, stuff that's going to prepare them for school and, testing and shit like that. So excuse my language.
It's all good.
Yeah. So she took us to a comic book store, and that's kind of where I got inspired, man. One of my very first comic books I ever bought was X-Men #1 by Jim Lee when it first came out. It was a gatefold 8-page cover, and I was just blown away by the art, the detail, the story, and also the fact that they were highlighting characters that were different. You know what I'm saying? And what I like about what X-Men, I wish X-Men had more diversity, but I will say that the essence of what diversity is, was in the fold of X-Men. You know what I'm saying? Seeing characters that were persecuted because they were different and superior, which is really the plight of, a person of color. You know what I'm saying? We have, melanin and culture that makes us, superior on lots of different things, sports, arts, entertainment, whatever it may be. But we're so persecuted for being different and being, being great naturally. So I very much resonated with the stories of X-Men and what that represented. But there really wasn't a whole lot of diversity on the shelf in terms of stories of color by writers and creators of color. So that being said, like, I got very much into anime in the 90s as well. I think back when Blockbuster was still around, I would go rent my anime from Blockbuster and watch, Dragon Ball Z on, the local channels, little episodes that poured in from, Asia from time to time. And, my family is from the New York City area. So I would come out here as a kid and just, play around the East Coast. And they were selling anime on street corners in Canal Street back in the day on VHS tapes. You know what I'm saying? You could just buy the bootleg joints before they had hit TV or anywhere. They were getting them from overseas and dubbing them and then selling them on the corner. So yeah, man, like, I was always around art. I was always, inspired by art, and I just never stopped drawing. Like, it was something I always did. Like, and the beautiful part about my parents is that they were very nurturing. They was like, okay, well, if you want to be an artist, you got to be in as many art classes as possible. So I took tons of art classes in middle school, high school. I moved from Grand Rapids, Michigan, my hometown, to the East Coast, in 2001, right after 9/11, and went to college out here. I eventually got an internship with Marvel where I was working as a production artist, which was really, really incredible. I had tons of fun there. I learned the science of how to put together a comic book, how to, navigate the business itself. And this was an interesting time too, because Marvel had just got bought by Disney right around that time, right around the 2008-9 era like that, those years. So yeah, man, I was very, very excited just to be part of the team then, and to just see how the mechanics of the business worked. And eventually I did some cover work for Dark Horse post my stuff with Marvel. And then I started RAE Comics shortly after. And then I dipped my toe into professional work from time to time. Like I've done some work for Aspen Comics. 2 years ago, I did something for DC. So every once in a while, I'll do stuff for the big companies. But ultimately, I find so much enjoyment and enrichment in creating my own stories. There's nothing more rewarding to me than creating the sandbox, putting the tools in the sandbox, and then playing with the tools in my own sandbox and owning that. You know what I'm saying? Versus like, okay, well, I go to someone else's sandbox and I can only play with these toys, but then I gotta leave eventually. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I just love having my own characters, having my own stories. It's been a lot of work building the business of RAE Comics. And after I, finished my internship in Marvel in 2010, it took me about 5 years to finish like etching out the stories for Alchemist, my initial flagship title. It took me, 5 years to figure out how to, form a business, to how to understand, taxes and, CPA stuff. Like it was all like, take your time to learn business. If anybody's watching this and you want to be a businessman or a businesswoman, like take the time necessary in order to learn business, because it's really a very, very complex thing. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't really like have your head wrapped around it enough, you could really get yourself into trouble. So you got to understand trademarks. You got to understand copyrights. Like those are really big things, because, you don't want people stealing your work. You know what I'm saying? Even the inspiration of an idea. I mean, I can't tell you like the first time. And see, fun fact, I'm going to go on a rant here. So hope you don't mind.
Nah, bro, you are just going in all the way through. Like usually it's like Pippen and Jordan. Like I'm throwing up the alley-oop and you dunking it, as an interviewer. And bro, like all the questions I needed to like set you up, like, bro, I don't have to do that one. I don't have to do that one, because you just checking them all off. I love it. Yo, do your thing, man. I love it. And then I'll prod you a little bit later with some other joints.
That's cool, man. I appreciate that. And yeah, what I was going to say too is that, so 2015, I debuted the very first issue of Alchemist. It's a sci-fi Sentai, Tokukatsu comic series centered around POC characters. Nothing like that existed on the market in 2015. There weren't even Power Ranger comic books on the shelves at that time. So the interesting thing to me is that, the whole genre and the look of Sentai was something that I myself was the only person doing it in the market at that time. But since then, tons of these comic books have come back into the fold. You got Ultraman that came back. You got Power Rangers that came back with a vengeance on, Boom Studios, and all these other, offshoots. There's all these other indie books that are doing Tokukatsu Sentai style comic books now. But if you rewind the tape and if you check the facts, Alchemist was doing it before really anybody in 2015. And that also kind of goes into my point of like, inspiration is everywhere, man. I mean, I remember going to San Diego Comic-Con and people taking pictures of my work, you know what I'm saying? Like, and just be like, yo, what you doing, man? Like just, you never know how, your creative, energy can inspire others. And again, like I've not seen an Alchemist rip off of any kind. So, thank God we're good. But ultimately, like I said, understanding the copyrights and all that stuff is a big deal. You know what I'm saying? If those types of things do happen. But moving past that, from 2015 onward, I've traveled the entire continental United States, at various different conventions. I usually do about 15 conventions a year in different parts of the country, selling my comic books, telling people about RAE Comics, building a fan base. I absolutely love the fans, man. I love people and I love getting to know them one-on-one. And I think that's what cons are so incredible for. So if you have time, to meet me at a con, to hang out with me at a con, like just come through, man. We can just become friends. We can hang out. We can be family, like all of that, you know?
Hell yeah. Speaking, man, I miss some joints, man. We're all going through it with the pandemic and everything, but it is going to be a sight to see. Going to be a lot of hugging. I mean, I miss so many people, our whole fam, man. And like I said, all of our mutuals and shit. It's gonna be great to see everybody, man. One of the things that I love with what you're doing as well, and I think it speaks to us because we are very proudful in ourselves as people of color. You know what I'm saying? And representation, because it so sorely matters, as we all know or should know. You know what I'm saying? Because some people don't, they ain't white people ain't understanding, how important that is, because they got no flavor. Anyway, let me just say that I want to, because you like I said, you were just dunking everything, and I appreciate you sharing all of that amazing story of yourself, man, because it's going to inspire, and it's just so beautiful. But when was it for you that you just kind of like became a little bit more self-aware? Because we all as POCs go through it and we experience the racism, and then that kind of, how we deal with it, we can either assimilate, which some of us do, which is terrible, you know what I'm saying? And then they get woke up later.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
For me, a buck on that.
For me, comics kind of helps with that. And I love how you brought up X-Men, because X-Men was key for me as well. I guess I'm a little bit older head, but like it was Spider-Man with being like that nerdy kind of guy, kind of shy. So I first, found Spider-Man, but through Spider-Man, I found the X-Men. And it was the John Byrne, Chris Claremont joints where, it was giant size X-Men that gave us our first Storm, our Colossus, our Nightcrawler, these people of color from everywhere else in all the other different countries. And that's where I like, wow, here's me. Here's finally some representation. Sunfire, as an Asian, here from Japan, that although they killed him off rather quickly, but you know what I'm saying? And like you're saying, I wish there were more X-Men of color, but right. We do have some. But that was like the gateway. And that what's got me into comic books, while I was being bullied and being called, every slur that was out there living in the South, because my parents were in the military. I was getting all that. So I dove myself into comic books, dove myself into art and writing, and started creating my own universe of characters that were me and that gave me my representation. And then that were Filipino, because that was sorely needed and extremely lacking any representation. So I was creating all these characters that I would eventually, when I got into comic books, publish and finally give that love. Do you recall those moments, or just that? Or maybe just simply experiencing that racism, did that kind of push you into the comic books and away from the drama? And like you said, your mom got you, and your parents got you to reading comic books along with your brother to just kind of maybe keep you off the streets a little bit. I don't know if it was to that degree, but I know that was for me, and diving into my creativity. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely hit the nail on the head, man. And honestly, it's a shame, because I feel like a lot of times, as a young man or a girl, a young person of color, you run into these weird, ignorant moments that people have, and weird levels of discrimination, whether they're microaggressions or they're macroaggressions. And, it kind of takes you out of your creative space, because then you get into this like, okay, survival, fight or flight mode. And I think there's nothing worse that kills creativity when, you're trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything goes out the door when you're just trying to survive as a person. And I think for me, growing up, I absolutely experienced lots of weird stuff. I mean, I knew very young as a kid that I was different because of how I looked and how people treated me that weren't POC. I just could feel it. It was almost innate, you know what I mean? From the time I was like 6 or 7 years old, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, why did that person just call me the N-word? Like, what is that? And then my parents have to explain to me what that means and why it's X, Y, and Z and things of that nature. And it was just, it's a very, an eye-opening thing when you, as a young age, have to mature so quickly. And you don't get to be, a kid in La La Land and just enjoying life. And again, for me, comics was absolutely an escape. You know what I'm saying? Things like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and, video games and, just these types of really cool things were something I could escape to, and I could feel like, I could feel accepted and like, man, this is just dope to be here, in this world. So the transportive factor of storytelling was always attractive to me. And I think I was actually in an art class. I think I was maybe 17 years old at the time, and I was the only. So just to rewind the tape real quick, the area I grew up in, Grand Rapids, Michigan, was a relatively rough area, and all of the public school systems were sorely, how do you say it? Like, they had basically no money. There really was no finances for the arts, so to speak. You could get into choir class, but there was they had an art class, but there was no supplies in my art class. I remember as like a 14-year-old kid, in my freshman year of high school, how am I going to have a career in art? Like, they don't even have a computer for me to try graphics. You know what I'm saying? And my parents realized that, TJ and our kids, you know what I'm saying? We can't, if they stay in this school, we don't get them into a better school. They're probably not going to learn or be inspired. Like, I didn't even want to go to college or do anything at that time in high school. I was like, I'll get a job, I'll work, whatever. And that's it. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was where my mindset was. But my parents, being smart, they saw that, like, wait a minute, you got to get into a better school. But they got me into like a preparatory school on like a grant. But that school was all white. And there was literally 3 Black people in the entire school, me being one of them. And it's like, okay, well, when something like that happens and you're in a classroom full of people who aren't what you are, if you're the only person in the class, you're going to experience some weird shit, like some weird microaggressions, some weird racism. I used to get it from teachers. Not all my teachers, but like at least 1 or 2 teachers would be a little discriminatory, you know what I'm saying? A little racist. They were like, pick on you a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And this was something that, once I spoke to my parents about it, they were all over it, you know what I'm saying? But ultimately, it took me out of my creative process, because art class was one of those safe havens for me to kind of like create. And, the very initial inception of Okemos, my very first comic book series, started when I was in art class in high school. So you can tell, like, it was kind of like a turbulent environment, but also very rewardingly and creative at the same time. So yes, to answer your question, it was very much part of my life at that time.
Hell yeah. Man, it's sad. It's sad that it's a mutual thing that we've all gone through. But at the same time, I would think, and I know for myself, and I would assume for you as well, as much as they don't want us to happen, you know what? Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? It gives me the drive, I love the phrase here, our existence is our resistance. And I'm gonna keep on existing and keep on shining and keep on pushing it and bring on cats like you and everybody else in our community that's just gonna pave the way for our next generation. I have a daughter, my wife's Black, and so my daughter's Black and Filipino, and there's all this love, you know what I'm saying, that we can exist and we can shine and we can keep building, man. So I thank you for continuing that on as well, from your lens and your arena. That's beautiful, bro. I had to ask you.
Beautiful, man. That's awesome. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. I had to ask you. So we know we talked about comics and how that was such a major thing and influence in your life, and that's what you're doing. But I saw from a bio piece, because I was also looking for your bio to get a little bit more. You're also a model and a martial artist. How did those things come into play? How did you get involved with all that?
Yeah, man. Like I said, I did everything in school.
Okay.
Man, like I honestly, and this is what I tell kids, like, or just people in general, like, if you're a young person, entertain every idea that comes to your mind. Everything you want to do, just enjoy life, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of my, trying to think. So, I mean, I started modeling when I was like 14. I did quite a few jobs. Every once in a while, I'll do a job now. But I mean, my time is so limited now that I'm running a company. Like, I really don't do much of it now anymore. And then karate. I mean, I always loved karate. Like, I don't know, like, something about karate was dope. And my father did karate for years. Like, he was a taekwondo practitioner. So he was like, I kind of want to move away from taekwondo and try something else. So again, he just came from that school of like martial arts, and the essence of what the credo of martial artists did was just really powerful for young men, and it transformed their lives, because that's what it did for him. So he got us into a martial arts class where our instructor was an Afro-Latino guy from Angelo. He was from Puerto Rico, and one of the most stylish, cool guys, an incredible martial artist. And we did 12 years of martial arts with him, got a black belt. And that was just part of our story, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of those martial arts principles kind of bleed into Okimist, the series, my first comic book. You see a lot of the fighting is choreographed because it's kind of what I would do as a fighter, you know what I'm saying? It's in there. And those Eastern influence and that essence is in Okimist, the first series. But yeah, so I did a lot of stuff. I mean, one of my best friends growing up, Peter Padua, who was a Filipino guy who could dance and sing like you wouldn't believe. We did breakdancing together.
I believe it.
I mean, you already know. I mean, like in the Philippines, like dancing and singing and entertainment, hands down, y'all got it, man. So me and Peter, we would would watch Dragon Ball Z and we would draw, but we were also going to clubs in Michigan and like as kids, like trying to like break dance and have like a little crew, you know what I'm saying? So we were always having a good time and enjoying life. And that's why I said, like, I'm not going to be a 30 plus, year old break dancer. That's not happening now.
Yeah, I can't do that no more too.
I can still pop and lock a little bit.
Yeah. But, no windmills no more. Yeah, because that was me too, man. But I can't do no windmills. None of that.
For sure. But yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, just entertain every idea and enjoy life. And that's really what I was trying to do as a kid, just enjoy life. And comics was the only thing that stuck with me. I started my love for comics and art, and it never left. And it's something that resonated with me. And that's the thing. It's like, if you have like an itch, or you have something that always sticks with you, like recognize what that is, because it might be something, you know what I'm saying? It might be your trajectory to, financial freedom or complete and utter peace. You know what I'm saying? You just never know.
Totally. I love it. And I that's a perfect bridge for the question that I wanted to drop on you earlier. So I'm gonna put it into here right now. So like you dipped in martial arts, modeling, and the comic thing. I'm curious if you dabbled into film. And the reason I bring that up is because I've had a lot of friends, and I'm sure a lot of, like I said, mutuals in this industry with the film world diving into our properties and our mediums. My boy LaShawn Thomas, that worked on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who then went on to create Cannon Busters, and then worked on Boondocks and Black Dynamite, and now we have Yasuke that's on Netflix. He's killing the game. I know I think Sanford and my man David Walker. They're killing it now with Bitterroot, with that getting launched. We got, man, who else do we got? We got Tuskegee Airs with Brian and with Marcus and
Greg.
Yes, Greg Burnham. They're killing it. There's not all the way out launched yet. The Tuskegee's out there, but I know they got their properties being looked at and talked to with Joystick Angels, man, and with Okimist, with the style. You're influenced by anime. You're influenced by gaming. To me, just looking at this, come on now, Hollywood. Are those arenas that you want to jump into as well? And if you don't want to spoil anything, because maybe they are in the works and you can't talk on it, I understand. But can you? Would you say you want to do that as well and follow some of the paths of our friends, our mutuals? And if I'm the connection between all that, and I can spark that joy and put that light and energy onto you with my boy LaShawn and Marcus and Sanford and all them cats, I hope I'm doing that right now because I want to see it. Can you talk on that, TJ?
Oh man, what I'm saying, like the power manifestation of the universe is incredible, man. Like when when my fans walk up to me at a con and like, yo, man, I just got done reading the books, or when is Okimist going to be an animated series or a movie? When the fans keep telling you that or asking you about that, that means the world to me, man. Like, you don't understand, because what you're doing is you're visualizing the next level for my IP. And you know what I'm saying? I've been visualizing it since day one, you know what I'm saying? And that's what's helped me get the IP to where it is now. So you guys can, fully get into it and digest the world, so to speak. But, I need you guys, you know what I'm saying? I need people, I need the fans, I need my new friends to come through and really, help me visualize this next step and this next level, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, since the inception, we've always thought about, Okimist being a, film. Again, I'm a huge fan of anime. I'm absolutely humongous fan of what LaShawn Thomas does. I love what they did with Castlevania. I personally think that a story of the depth and size of Castlevania could only be done as an anime. It wouldn't really work as well as a film. So for me, I would love to see something like that for Joystick Angels. I think we purposely created Joystick Angels to look more like an anime and to look like a piece directly pulled from a screenshot off of a Netflix special or something like that. So we're definitely working on it. I mean, I know for a fact that our main goal is to create great stories at the heart of who we are, at the fabric of who we are at RAE Comics and my comic book business, and who I am as a creator and as a business person, is someone who likes to tell stories. People sometimes forget that Spider-Man had 30 plus years of content sitting in a vault before they even made the first cartoon. You know what I'm saying? Now, a lot of times people make comic books specifically to pitch to Netflix. And, that's, okay, that's good if you really want to do that, but you're not necessarily a comic creator. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're more of an IP generator, you know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like a wash, rinse, repeat type of thing that a lot of people are doing. But at the core of it, we want to have a library of great stories, man. We would love to have all the movie stuff and the film stuff, and I'm sure it will happen at some point in time. But ultimately, first and foremost, we have to get that library, you know what I'm saying? Complete these stories, you know what I'm saying? Build it to where when we do those IPs, that next level IP stuff, people can, pull from a library of content. Like, which story are we going to do, man? Which one do you want to do? You want to do the origin? You want to do this one or that one? Like, I want to be able to pull from great stories. So that's the mission at the moment in time.
I love it. So very true, man. That just shows even more heart and the kind of creator I want to support, and y'all should support. Right now, as we said earlier, Joystick Angels is still live on Kickstarter, man. Go show it love, get down, get the soundtrack and the comic like I did. You're not gonna want to miss out on this. It's gonna be dope, man. TJ, man, this has been a pleasure, man. Hearing your story, hearing that origin story, learning all about Joystick Angels, man. It's already gonna happen because we already know you succeeded the campaign, but we want to reach those stretch goals. So continue to support out there. One of the last questions I like to leave cats with, because we are the NRW, we are the Nerds of Color, is a nerd check. And we already kind of talked on, we talked on comics, so you can't use that one. We talked on gaming a little bit, so I don't want you to use that one. Basically, the nerd check is if you were to give a TED talk, man, if somebody was to test your gangster on a particular nerd type subject, and it doesn't have to be the traditional nerd shit like comics, sci-fi, or whatever. It could be you're a nerd about tax law, because I actually had somebody say, yeah, man, they can't check me on tax law. I had another cat that I had on that was on politics and presidents. So it could be even like a tech guru, like you're the main tech guy, that you're better than when somebody's asking about a product, like you already got the 411 on it. So what subject could you take somebody to town on and give a TED talk on, TJ?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I mean, I would honestly say, besides, my comic book stuff, because I'd love to give a TED talk about comics and just, what it takes to build dynamic stories, because I get all these compliments over the years about how the IPs and the stuff that we create are so unique and different. And I think, me being just, a student of the comic book game, I'm just like, okay, how do I, create something so different, so unique that stands out when people are walking past it and, they want to purchase it because it is next level stuff. So I'd love to do a TED talk about that. But I mean, if I could do a TED talk about, cooking, you know what I'm saying? I would love to TED talk about that. Cause because I've been vegan now for the past like 5.5 years, I would say. Okay. And I cook vegan food all the time. I'm a huge fan of just, the cuisine of, just how it can kind of change your life, how it can, help make you healthier, how you can literally, heal yourself ailment wise through veganism, through just eating your veggies, ladies and gentlemen. Like who knew, you never heard eat your veggies before, right? So, I mean, I'm a huge, fan of cooking and just like healing through food, exercise as well. Very much into exercise and fitness and just overall health. Cause comic artists, we sit all the time.
So true.
And it's so bad for circulation, so bad for your knees, your back, X, Y, and Z. So I'd say I'd probably do a TED talk on vegan cooking, man. It's a little something that.
No, I love that, especially when you you've changed in recently in the past 5 years because that is such a switch. You've got to train yourself and teach yourself to, adapt to this new lifestyle. So I love that. Hell yeah. That's a good one, man. You aced it. You aced it. You passed the nerd check. One more thing, man, because we also have audio listeners that are, bring this up and they're in the car or whatever. I'm going to have all the information in the description below, all the links to my man, TJ. But if you could tell our audio listeners how they can hit you up online and follow and all of that.
Yeah, man. I also wanted to quickly just add a couple more things about the Joystick Angels campaign as people are listening.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So the fun thing about this is that we've got a really great cast of characters, with the Joystick Angels Kickstarter, which is currently live. It ends on June 12th. We've only got a few days left. So as you're listening to this, it's go time. We need you. You're going to get a really multifaceted story about great characters. Fox, the lead character who you see right behind, as the background, you see right behind him, the main character, the leader of the team is a young, cocky, brash kid who's like an incredible space fighter. And to the right of him, he's got Tank. She's a she's a spy operative, but also like the lead strategist of the team. Right in the middle, you have Legs, and Legs is an Afro-Latina queer character who is the resident tech officer. She builds the ships, she fixes the guns, the phasers, all that stuff. To the far left, you've got Dragonetti and Deuce. Dragonetti with the red jacket on is the resident speedster, but he also loves fashion, music, and games, and anything that is pop culture. And last but not least, Deuce, you have a humanoid panda character who is like the fighter of the group, and also Fox's second in command. So really fun cast of characters. What you can get on the Kickstarter is you can get 2 variant cover issues of this amazing issue 1. You can get t-shirts, you can get enamel pins, and we've already hit 2 of our major stretch goals. So the first major stretch goal was, I believe, a masterclass on music and comics. If you want to learn the business of comics from me, all you have to do is donate to the campaign. At any level, you can participate in this masterclass. If you want to learn the business of music and music production from someone who's worked from Universal Music, my brother, all you have to do is donate to the campaign at any dollar amount. And the last and final stretch goal that we want to reach, we're super close, is 20K. If we can reach 20K, we are going to give everyone who donates to the Joystick Angels Kickstarter campaign a free issue of Joystick Angels issue 2. You just have to donate $25 or more. If you donate $25 or more, you get Joystick Angels number 2 for free if we get to 20K and when we get to 20K. So that's my push. That's my pitch. I want you guys to know that this is an absolutely great comic book series. It comes with an amazing soundtrack that you're going to love. You can easily find me at RAE Comics, RAE Comics, on Twitter, on Instagram, and my website is raecomics.com. 3 perfect ways to find me. If you want to follow along, Joystick Angels has its own IG and Twitter account. Super easy to find. But yeah, follow me online. If you got questions, feel free to hit me up. I'd love to talk with you.
Hell yeah. I love that, man. And I love the fact that you're doing this masterclass to give back to these young cats that are trying to do the same thing, man, that have the same goals and aspirations and dreams, man. That's absolutely beautiful, bro. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to your brother. Shout out to the whole creative crew behind Joystick Angels and everybody at our RAE Comics, man. Yes, I was going to say RAE. What does RAE stand for?
Yeah. So, when I first debuted the business, it was Red Arses Entertainment. It was an entertainment company.
Okay.
And, Red, just because we wanted to make hot content. And Arsis is actually like a Latin word for like house or fortress. So I wanted to have like a house of fire, creative ideas and talent. And that's kind of where the idea inception of Red Arsis Entertainment came from. And then we just shortened the name for the comic book division, to RAE Comics. So it's same energy, you know what I'm saying? Just, a shortened acronym.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. Shout out to my man, TJ. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for joining me and showing the love from RAE Comics and Joystick Angels. Make sure y'all go out and support that. It's your boy, Kuya P. You can follow me at Strange Since 1977, as well as at Temple Far East, because I've been old that long, and one of those is Twitter, one of those is IG. You can also follow me at the Nerds of Color, where we give you pop culture from the POC perspective, as well as here at the NRW and at New Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. TJ Sterling, Joystick Angels, RAE Comics, Kuya P. We're out of here.
Peace, y'all. Thanks for having me on, man.
Hell yeah.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is TJ Sterling of RAE Comics, and I want you to check out my interview on the NRW. We're talking about my amazing comic book series, Joystick Angels, that's currently live on Kickstarter. It's an amazing YA space opera comic book series that has its own original soundtrack. That's right, its own soundtrack. So you're going to love this comic book series. It's amazing. It's different. It's unique. It's incredible. Click the link on the bio for the Kickstarter, donate, support, help us get to 20K so we can give you issue 1, 2, and a whole bunch of other amazing goodies. Peace. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is TJ Sterling of RAE Comics, and being a nerd of color means absolutely everything to me. It's basically like breathing, you know what I'm saying? It's like waking up every single morning, you know what I'm saying? And without that, I wouldn't be able to deliver this amazing content and create these amazing stories. So thank you, and shout out to all the NOC and all the amazing nerds of color out there that are doing amazing stories, you know what I'm saying, and pushing for this next level and next generation of creativity.